The story begins with the MC saying, in 10 years' time, the Federation Kingdom of the East, by the hands of the 5 great sins, will fall. In order to prevent this, he has become their patron. With that being said, he wasn't expecting this to become such a big deal. He had been a wage slave, working 78 hours a week, when he possessed a noble in a fantasy world. Is it a good thing? Well, yeah, kind of. He wonders, what the hell does this book say? Shouldn't he just automatically know the language? The servant notices he is holding it upside down. In this world, the MC is an illiterate and is void of any special powers. But when it's mealtime, he is served like a true noble, dining table filled with all kinds of food. After meals, maids help him with his bath before bed. Honestly, being a young master of a count's family where he can just be useless and pampered is simply the best life ever. I couldn't agree more, but Trunk Kuin seems to be absent in my life. Still, the MC doesn't know where he is. A maid tells the MC that the young masters will be returning tomorrow, so he should please sleep early tonight. The MC doesn't know who she is talking about. She explains that young masters Leo and Tonio are coming tomorrow, and she questions him on why he speaks as if he doesn't know his own family. The confused MC recalls his new body's last name and feels a chill down his spine. That last name sounds ominously familiar. Then it finally hit him. He gets scared after realizing that he is in Psychedelia. Psychedelia is a turn-based RPG that he used to play whenever he had the time. The thing is, no matter which route one takes, the moment the 5 great sins appear, namely, wrath, greed, sloth, pride, and obsession, the kingdom, nobility, and the city, basically everything, start to enter their downfall. Among those who fall first, the Palatial House sounds Italian. Surely they run a pizza house and not a mafia or criminal organization, which consists of his degenerate father, the eldest son, Leo Palacio, the king of Prosti, second son Tonio Palacio, king of substance. It is a noble family of troublemakers that is a part of the sub-quest before the main episode begins. The MC drops to his knees in despair after finally recognizing the place he now calls home as the same estate from the game. He realizes that his doom is near since the Palacios are the first to be wrecked by the 5 great sins. Even though the sub-quest here gave a lot of EXP, we are finally introduced officially to the MC. He is an extra villain, Palacio House's 3rd son, Alan Palacio. Later, while he lies in his bed, he wishes to return to being a 78-hour-a-week wage slave. So what if he's living a life of luxury? He'll die in 10 years. This is worse than 6 months of unpaid wages. How come he possessed a fantasy character with no powers? Other guys get all kinds of cool things, but he suddenly realizes something. Alan Palacio quickly rises like The Undertaker from WWE. If it's powers, knowing what happens in 10 years is like being a prophet. Then why doesn't he just remove the causes of the world's downfall? He wonders out loud. And so, this former wage slave decided to reform the 5 great sins for the sake of his peaceful, noble life. It should be possible since they're still kids right now. Time passed. 2 months later, a one-eyed patch guy informs Alan that they rescued the orphans of the East's orphanage, where they conduct human experiments and left the management of the orphanage to a girl named Yusha. The eye patch guy is called Evan. He's Alan's knight. Alan says out loud that his eyes are precise, and Evan is really skilled. But due to Alan's dull facial expression, he can't tell if it's a compliment or not. But Alan says it's a compliment. He forces the most perverted smile ever, and tells Evan that he looks forward to continuing to work with him. Evan doesn't think he'll get used to that smile anytime soon. He remembers that back in the day, the old Alan used to be really obvious with his emotions. Alan checks his face in the mirror. He feels like his possession of this body stopped at the face. Evan blushes and thanks the young master for the praise. Evan is a rare character in the game Psychedelia, because he stays honest and loyal, even amidst all the betrayal, so Alan hired him as soon as he found him. Evan recalls that Alan ordered to save the girl named Yusha. Now, he can see why, even in his eyes as someone who worked a long time as a mercenary, he can see that she was no ordinary kid. Wait, bro, don't you just have one eye? When he went to save her, he could see that she was strong enough that he didn't understand why she just gave in to being locked up. He asks why Alan didn't bring her here. There's no benefit in keeping her at the orphanage. Alan agrees with Evan's idea, since it may look like he's just neglecting her instead of making use of her. But leaving her like that is part of his plan. Yusha Bludia is a non-human who signs a contract with an otherworldly being for its powers, and will go on to become Wrath of the Five Great Sins, to kill hundreds of thousands of people. But she shouldn't become Wrath if she grows up in peace. Looks like he finally took out a landmine. For now, he will just make up an excuse to get Evan off his back. Alan intensely stares at Evan and says that, "It's not yet time." Evan is stunned by those words and ponders them. Alan tells him to make sure nobody talks of this. They should be sponsored with enough funds, too. Evan understands the assignment. Before he leaves, Alan gives him a letter to hand over to Yusha. He explains it's just to see how she is doing. He figured he should reassure her somehow since she's been through a lot. Evan promises to make sure she gets the letter of reassurance. He quickly sets out for the orphanage. Although Alan doesn't know if that really will reassure her, it's at least worth a try. The real purpose of the letter was to put in quotes he heard dozens of times during the story progression of the Sin of Wrath. In the game, it was already too late. The attempts to calm her failed, and the battle began. But it might not be too late now. Since one's been taken care of, he should move on to his next target. It sounds ridiculous to become friends with a monster just because of some quotes, but just maybe it'll work since they worship some god or whatever of the other world. It's hard for him to fathom the way those guys think. They're like fanatics after all. In the orphanage, Yusha is reading the letter of reassurance. Evan stares at her and wonders. The mana he can feel from her is unbelievable. She's a strange child. It's like she has no emotions. After reading the letter, Yusha asks the stunned Evan if Mr. Allen was the one who sent this letter. She ominously asks, why doesn't the MC want her by his side? Evan is visibly shaken that he can't answer right away. The way she is manifesting mana in that form is only possible in the Master Realm. He suddenly remembers Alan's words, "It's not yet time." He tells her that it has everything to do with timing. Alan said it's not yet time. This calms her down immediately. In the letter, Alan wrote the words from the game, "Agony of the dark, impassivity of the bright, belonging with the fall." Yusha holds the letter closer to her chest. Those words are a promise that only her master would know. She finally gets it. She tells the confused Evan that she gets what Alan means while smiling like a yandere. It seems the letter did way more than reassure her. It awakened the yandere inside the Sin of Wrath, daughter of monsters, bloody Queen Yusha. Meanwhile, at the Palatial estate, the menace who unintentionally caused a major problem is lying on his bed, worried about extending his luxurious lifespan a bit. He happily thinks that, even though the bright moon is cheering him on, he'll work hard on the next kid as well. Some days later, while looking for a book in the library, a few books crashed on top of the MC. Evan rushes over to inform him that they have rescued the second child he mentioned. Alan asks if they made sure to treat the child very kindly. Yes, Evan responds after saving the child from the illegal slave market. But before he could finish talking, the doors were kicked open by some lunatic. The arrogant guy is the second son of the county, Tonio Palacio, and he came to the library to pick on Alan, mocking him for being an illiterate guy. He also heard he has been studying recently. After mocking and bullying him, he has the nerve to get angry when Alan refuses to respond. Alan is annoyed by this. He wonders how the old Alan just took this. He'd like to strike back, but for now, Alan quickly bows and asks to take his leave. Tonio steps on his head to teach him his place. A knife suddenly flies by Tonio, inches away from his face. Another brother calls them insects and tells them that they are being too noisy. He is the first son of the county, Leo Palacio. He tells them to get lost since he doesn't want to see blood first thing in the morning. Alan's brothers get into an altercation, and the cowardly MC crawls away to escape these two. In the game, Palacio County quickly disappeared, but their power is greater than he thought. Basically, the SCMMY brothers are fighting over the family head position, the huge figure of the underworld, the Prose King, and the large-scale substance cartel manager, the Substance King. He knows he can't mess with these two figures for the sake of his sweet life. He quickly crawls out of the library. While those two fight for the family head position, He vows to live happily as a weak and incompetent be-starred child. When Alan and his knight get to his room, Evan continues from where he stopped the report. He thinks that the second child is not ordinary either. The lazy MC agrees, which got Evan thinking, how did someone like this find out about the illegal slave market and secret bioexperiments happening in a different region? He already has a hard time keeping himself together. Evan tells the young master that he is quite strange, and he sent the child to the orphanage. Alan knows the second child is not just unordinary, he's of a cataclysmic scale. Within the United Kingdom, composed of several nations, not the UK you all know of, its central nation is the Callian Kingdom. The one they saved from the illegal slave market was the second boss of psychedelia, Deus Michaelian. After being sold into slavery and abused as he was passed from place to place, he became the embodiment of one of the 5 deadly sins, the sin of sloth. He then annihilated the kingdoms in the most horrific ways imaginable. It was in this part of the story that many players were surprised by the game's cruelty. Contrary to this epithet, sin of sloth, he was noted as a very hard-working individual who repaid both debts and disservices several times over. Hence, he emphasized to Evan to treat Deus very kindly. The graphics of Deus's brutality are as clear as GTA 6, that Alan is visibly shaking just remembering them. While Alan drinks his tea, he tells Evan that the reason he sent the child to the orphanage was that it's not yet time. Evan expected as much. He asked if the letter he sent to Yusha was about the second child. Alan agrees. He also added some small talk too. He told her to take care of this slightly sick child he sent her way. At the orphanage, while other children are playing, Deus stands alone at the back. Someone walks to him and calls him broken. His scars are traces of something horrible. She asks him if it was the black goat. Yusha was the one questioning Deus. Despite everything, the Great Moon, who I assume is the MC, still chose him, so she offers her congratulations. The yandere preaches to him about feeling the power he was bestowed with and letting his potential be unleashed. If he stays loyal and follows his order, he shall have his revenge. Powerful speech she will make for a great priest or con artist. Yusha checks the letter sent by Alan and decides to send her first reply with a light greeting. The content of the letter states what happens in Alan's life, like how his second brother, Tonio, used him as a chair the other day. The very next day, Alan was looking for clues about the third boss again, when Evan came in a panic and announced that there was big trouble. The SCM, he means the second young master. Alan asks what, and he is told that the Substance King has kicked the bucket. Alan exclaims already, "Bro, your brother just kicked the bucket, and that's the first thing you say." At the second young master's funeral, their father has got 2 bad bitches, one on each side. He tells them to hurry up cause he's bored and his girl is hungry. Seriously, does anyone actually like anyone else in this family? Alan is not even surprised. He knew this family was messed up, but man, the game is truly a dark fantasy genre indeed. Anyway, for Tonio to die of an accidental fall, this is different from what he remembers. Back in the game, he cried desperately, saying he had finally killed his brother, Leo, after all these years. Their eldest brother couldn't be happier. He has a what a lucky break. Look on his face right now. This man looks more like someone who just won a $1 billion jackpot. Alan thinks that, at the very least, he should hide his emotion. The culprit must be either Leo or his followers. Anyway, he has just resolved the 5 deadly sins. A year later, as the successor problem was solved, Leo absorbed the substance business. The county became even more peaceful. In the meantime, Yusha and Alan became pen pals. Alan thinks that, if he keeps in touch with her, it'll prove helpful in the future. In Yusha's letter, she reports on what the kids have been up to. Yuna is good at hide and seek. A kid named Hayden is very good at warplay, and Deus likes to do puppeteering. Alan is genuinely happy that they're good kids. Looks like bro finally did it. He reformed villains into harmless kids with respectable hobbies. She also included a sponsor list in the letter. Alan is surprised that the list has increased again. He tells Evan that it's interesting that more sponsorships are appearing for that small orphanage. Evan thinks that's actually a good thing, even though it's usual. He also reports on the thing Alan has been searching for. He received a call from the Information Guild that they found a clue. Alan is relieved to find the ancient book about the third boss, Finally, he can find that guy as well. He is happy that everything is going smoothly. What a peaceful evening. At the substance distribution site, Margot. Screams echo through the night. Two random guys are grateful to the eldest young master of the Palacio family for always giving out huge rewards. Their organization now has a few hundred members. They walk straight into a massacre. To their horror, the members are calling for help as their own hands are moving on their own, eager to send their own bodies to hell. One of the random guys calls out for help as his hands points a dagger straight at his throat. And in an instant, every member of the organization unalives themselves. A shadowy figure appears from an alley. I bet that person is responsible for this. Yusha appears and tells Deus that she enjoyed the puppet show of the day. There's more to report, it seems. Turns out, Deus is the culprit of this organization's downfall. His so-called puppeteering is him controlling people to unalive themselves. Once a villain, always a villain, it seems. Deus asks Yusha if there is any point in doing this. Yusha asks back if he pities them. He responds, no, because they grind people to create substance. He just doesn't know if this has anything to do with his revenge. Yusha responds, of course it helps. This is the basis to create space for him to return. How can they let the place be shabby when he arrives? Deus understands. The two then leave the area. Yusha vows that everything will proceed according to his will. They, the Blue Moon, shall be his sword. So the MC is responsible for the massacre, who would have thought? It's been 2 years since he has had Yusha as a pen pal. At the Palacio estate, Evan is searching for his young master. He manages to find him in the backyard and falls on the ground, tired from exhaustion. Alan was busy practicing his magic. Evan reports that the 5th child has been successfully sent to the orphanage as well. Alan is overjoyed since now all the monsters that can destroy his soft life are all in his care. In the last 2 years, he has also saved the 3 remaining sins. He moves in closer to the exhausted Evan to feed him some cake. Alan, at first, had some trouble finding Greed, the 3rd, but making Evan work with his game knowledge has worked out. He tells Evan to rest now since he has done a good job on everything. Evan asks if he is referring to his duties related to the orphanage. Alan agrees, and Evan is relieved. Evan asks Alan if he's not happy. He says he is, but he clearly doesn't look like it. He points at his mouth and says that he's smiling right now. Evan doesn't believe him, but he still accepts that answer anyway. Alan lay on the ground after practicing magic for a while. He didn't expect things to go so well. The bosses of psychedelia became the 5 sins as a result of their horrid past. Even if this is the past, before they became the sins, the chances of saving them all before they underwent those events were low, and he was worried he'd rescue them after they had already been broken. Alan asks Evan how the orphanage is doing. He responds that, as usual, things are going well. The children once looked like broken dolls, but now, they've lightened quite a bit. Alan thinks they won't need to hire a separate caretaker for them. Honestly, he didn't think Yusha would do such a good job. Maybe it is because of her character background that she feels sentimental toward the orphanage. She'd probably hate it if he interfered more. Alan tells Evan that Yusha is quite a nice girl in some ways. Evan asks if the letter says anything important, but it just states that everything and everyone is fine. Alan is just glad that they all seem to be growing well. Seeing how well they're growing up, he can say that the environment is really the most important aspect. Once again, Evan asks when he plans on meeting the kids. He always says that the time will come. But that was just an obvious lie. He never had any intention of meeting them. Though it'd be nice to stay close to them, they don't exactly have personalities he'd like to be around. Maybe it's because of how brutal the process of them turning into sins was. But he's positive that it won't be as bad. Now that he rescued them before they experienced those events. But he's still scared. And as usual, he lies to Evan and says 5 years. Either way, he needs the skills to protect himself. In a damn dark fantasy world like this, one needs talent for magic, and fortunately, this body is perfect. While he is practicing magic, Evan asks if he has ever heard of the Blue Moon. Of course, a lazy neat like this has never heard of them. Ever, though it's his own criminal organization. Evan explains that it's an organization that has recently gained fame for hunting down criminal rings. Alan is at least happy. They are cleaning up the trash. Since he has never heard of them, even when he was playing the game, he's sure they'll be gone soon. Evan also heard that they also kill nobles, too. That finally scares Alan, and he orders Evan to sleep next to his room from now on. At night, in a house somewhere, Yusha asks to hear about the Blue Moon's report this week, starting with the north. A yellow-haired girl with cat-like ears claims to have taken all of the slave traders' heads. This girl is Sealrang, the sin of pride. She boasts that they couldn't even figure out who she was. She even promised to let them live if they could tell her what color her eyes are, but they failed. A green-haired girl reports that, on her side, the corpses were melted. She is sin of greed, Rina. A white-haired boy finished up the south, too. He took care of the illegal human testing grounds and turned the Avalon Beastards who were causing trouble into minced meat. This is the sin of obsession, Raiden. Yusha is pleased since everything will go according to his will. They exist for the sake of the Great Moon, also known as the MC. This group of fiendish kids is the secret organization called Blue Moon that worships the Great Moon. Deus brings up a problem they have, which greatly displeases the Yandere. He found a dangerous written order by the eldest son of Palacio County in Avalon. Leo appears to be targeting his only brother left. Yusha is immediately enraged, and she starts manifesting mana. It's so bad that Sealrang is terrified. The order is to slowly poison Alan after the Count dies. The sin of wrath crashes the paper in her hand. 2 years later, Alan's father, Count Palacio, who doesn't seem to have a first name, died. His death was outwardly known to be because of heart failure, but it's clear that it happened because he overdosed. And just like the last funeral, no one cried. Guests were even discussing Blue Moon's latest attack last night with Leo, and he asked if everyone was wiped out again. Alan thinks they have become more wary of the Blue Moon, and so the Count's death, without a single person mourning, ended in silence. Alan quickly escapes the venue because it's clear someone will be out to get him. Later, Evan asks for Alan's plan from now on. Leo will become the new head, but Alan is already 3 steps ahead. He is already packing his bags to quickly escape the estate and his brother's clutches. He tells Evan to get his stuff ready. They are going to run. Evan didn't really expect this, but he packs anyway. Alan plans to go down to escape, and by down he means a place called Rodmill. Honestly, he has been planning to leave for a small town, to the south of Palacio called Rodmill. He hops on the carriage and they leave the Palacio estate, but Leo is menacingly staring at the carriage. He clearly has bad intentions. Some days later, Alan is happily preparing bread with eggs for breakfast. But after 3 days, he returned. Now it's for his brother's funeral. He can't believe he's back here. Leo died at a different time in the game. So why is he already dead? Apparently, he was stabbed in the heart. Just who could have killed him, Alan wonders. He then tries to talk with a servant, but he immediately gets scared and apologizes for looking at Alan. Alan is stunned. He wonders what's wrong with that guy. Evan comes to report his findings to Alan. And the thing is, he asks in a low tone if he made the Avalon vanish overnight. Alan is speechless for a while. Not long ago, on the day that Alan left for Rodmill, in the carriage, Evan asked if it wouldn't be better to go to a city instead. Alan makes the JoJo face and disagrees. Rodmill is the final destination that he has planned. Saving the 5 great sins from misfortune and stopping the world from ruin. Rodmill has nothing to do with the original story, and the Palacio Villa is there too. It's the perfect place for a noble to live and take it easy, while doing nothing. But since he can't tell Evan all this, he just says that everything has a reason with a serious face. This time, Evan will not be fooled. He always says those things when he's not bothered. Bro just wants to take it easy and live a quiet life. Before the carriage exited the estate, Leo was intensely staring at it, wondering whether to unalive his only family or not. Even though it doesn't matter if he's alive or not initially, he was planning to unalive Alan with poison after their father's death. But Alan came to him and said he was going to quietly head off to the border, so he's lost all reason to unalive him now. Leo doesn't know if it is because matters with Avalon aren't going well, but Alan just bothers him. He gave the order to a guy named Alman who works for him to follow the carriage. Alman asks if this means Leo wants Alan dead. Leo is caught off guard by the question, since Alman has never talked back to him, no matter what orders he gave him. He wonders why he's suddenly asking a question. Geez, this guy is really paranoid. He tries to brush the thought off and tells Alman that it's his job to do what he tells him to, but Leo could finish the sentence. In the blink of an eye, a sword goes through his heart. Leo is stunned. How dare Alman betray him? Alman gives a cold response. He liked playing war. It was fun, up until now. Turns out this guy is not named Alman, he's Haydn, a member of the Blue Moon. So he's one of the kids from the orphanage Yusha is in charge of. Does that mean most of the kids from the orphanage are part of the Blue Moon? Maybe the entire orphanage is Blue Moon itself. In Blue Moon, they were taught a creed by the Red Moon, which is, as the Blue Moon is that man's sword, it's only natural that he move according to his wishes. But if anyone tries to harm the Great Moon, he can act on his own accord. He draws out the sword. All this time, he was waiting for Leo to say that he wanted Alan dead, to think it took him 2 years to give the order. Leo, with his dying breath, tells Haydn that his subordinates won't let him go. But thanks to Leo's previous order, Avalon will disappear from this continent forever. Haydn thinks it's unfortunate, since the Great Moon gave him a chance. Haydn disappears, and Leo takes his final breath. One more death and a wedding, and it will be 4 funerals and a wedding. The next morning, a happy Alan wakes up. The Palatial estate is in chaos right now because of him, but to him, Rodmill is heaven. It's another peaceful day. He wakes up when he wants to, eats what he wants, and he's able to live the life of a true noble. He is so happy that he considers opening a toast stand. All joy ceases when Evan arrives with a letter for him. After seeing its content, he drops his food. He is stunned by the news of Leo's death, and they request his return to the Palatial estate. With that, his free trial of heaven expired after 4 days. Back to the present time, he returned to the estate, and with the servants' reactions, it seems everyone believes he is sort of shadow leader. The clueless guy is frozen in place after realizing that. He did nothing wrong, but everyone thinks he's a mastermind. Alan sat sadly in a corner with tears in his eyes and asked Evan to please explain to him why he's the villain. Evan awkwardly explains the current situation. Alan is the only one who benefits from this situation. After they left the estate, Leo was murdered, and he had the perfect alibi to become the Count's heir. Alan is shocked. That actually makes perfect sense. Avalon is also gone now, so with Leo's death, nothing will bother him. That must mean he's really the shadow leader of the county, who led the assassination of a swordmaster. Even his own trusted aide believes the rumors. No, he's just kidding. Alan ponders his next plans after this. No organization is capable of killing a key figure of the underworld in an instant. He remembers that one organization that hunts other organizations, Blue Moon, maybe they're behind this. Evan says the Information Guild said the Blue Moon wasn't behind this. The Blue Moon leaves behind a mark instead of a corpse. However, it said that members of Avalon were stabbed with a sword. Alan finally understands why he's the main culprit. He thinks that, in the game, the Blue Moon doesn't come out. There's no way those weaklings are behind this when they disappear before the original story starts. He still wonders who it is. At the hideout of the Blue Moon, Yusha asks the others if they left any traces. Rene reports that nothing was left behind. It's the same with Sealrang, only corpses. Deus returns and reports that all 486 soldiers of Avalon are gone. Raiden arrives after cutting them all in half. Yusha, the Yandere, is pleased, and that was how Avalon, a huge organization that dominated the Asteria Kingdom, turned to dust in just 5 days. Raiden also reports to Yusha his findings. He found an envelope with all the nobles who are connected to Avalon. The Altia Dukedom has a particular deep connection. Yusha doesn't need to say anything, but the rest already understand her intentions and vow to take care of this quietly. Yusha is relieved, and she then asks Rene if the Information Guild side is clean. She responds, yes, this matter is being handled separately from the Blue Moon. Deus reports that all the guilds act the same. They call it the Hell Sword made by the Swordmaster. They ask Yusha if they should continue keeping tabs on their movements. She agrees because no matter what, this issue must not reach the ears of that person. So basically, the Information Guild is where Evan gets info for Alan. So the issue of Alan's brother's death and Blue Moon's involvement must not reach him. She has told them so many times. Deus understands that, since his brothers targeted Alan first, they acted with order.
So, the blue moon is also responsible for Tonio's death. According to them, they are swords. A sword must not think for itself. Blue moon must only move on orders. Yusha warns them that person knows everything. They must never disappoint him. Deus is nervous. He doesn't understand. For someone with abilities as overwhelming as Yusha's, to feel anxiety and restlessness simply because she's scared to be found out. The great moon is terrifying. They will do everything for the great moon. At the Palatial estate, the former wage slave is swamped with a lot of paperwork. After the funeral, there was a full month of endless duties. He was crazy busy. Alan sheds tears. He just wants to loaf around and eat. Isn't that what nobles do? Even though he's made some enemies, Leo's death was supposed to be 6 years from now. But because the pattern of the brothers' deaths changed the course of the game, all the backlog of family duties fell onto him, the heir. Some officials walk in with even more paperwork. Honestly, why is everyone working so hard? When the Count was here, they used to slack off and skip work. But Alan doesn't know that because of his terrifying facial expression and notorious reputation he recently got. They fear for their lives and dare not slack off. He is like that one boss in the office who never smiles. He wonders if the staff is also working so strictly because of rumors that he's the secret mastermind. They don't even approach when he calls. Honestly, he wishes they would manage things without him having to step in. Later, while they are roasting sweet potatoes, Evan is astonished that Alan managed to reach the second tier after only 2 years of self-study in the poison craft. He's really got a great talent for this. He wonders how much he has grown. Normally, it takes about 4 years of instruction to reach the second tier. Magic also requires innate talent in many cases. Alan agrees that his talent's pretty decent. He practiced hard for self-defense because he was feeling so uneasy. To do that, he had to be able to finally control his mana. But what good is it if it's only half-baked? He has used every kind of magic in this fantasy world now. First, it was exciting. He used to plan well and slowly learn more. But now, desperate to save his own skin, the truth he realized is that his mana haul is insanely tiny, his mana drains away easily. It's kind of frustrating to him that nothing works out for him. Innate mana capacity is like an athlete's natural weight class. His mana haul is very, very small, and no amount of training will cover it. If nothing else works, there is a method. Evan interrupts his thoughts, and he remembers that Alan's ball invitation arrived. Alan is confused. He has no knowledge of any of this. Days later, at the ball, Alan arrives there with Evan in style, but just like a NEET, he is already tired after just arriving. This is the regular aristocratic ball in the southern Asteria kingdom, an exchange for nobles. He's about to become a count soon, so maybe he should use this chance to network. He gets into serious mode, ready to rizz up people. Forming connections with nobles is crucial for a peaceful future. But currently, everyone is avoiding him like the plague. Even when he tries to greet people, they run for their lives. Evan can't hold back his laughter and tells Alan not to be upset. But he pretty much expected this. He leaves Evan to go and socialize. He thinks they look down on him for being low class and lacking refinement. No, it's because you're a secret mastermind. Unlike his esteemed great-grandfather's era, the current Palatial family is full of troublemakers from the east. But he didn't come here thoughtlessly. He picked up a glass of wine from a table. He vows to unlock the social skill he secretly practiced. He casually walked up to a woman with the most disturbing face ever and said, "The wine's aroma is unique, especially the scent. It's distinctive. I'd like to have a few bottles at home." He thinks, his smile is gentle enough. Who lied to this guy? He looks like someone who would threaten others to drink poison. The lady instantly gets the ick and runs for her life, promising to have her father prepare a few bottles of the limited edition wine at once. Alan tries to stop her, but she is already gone. The other nobles notice this and think, he just blackmailed them into giving him limited edition regional wine. Surely he's a bigger troublemaker than his other siblings. Alan is actually disheartened. This wasn't what he was expecting. No, he guesses she must just be a particularly shy young lady. Bro is already in denial. As the ball continues, he tries several times to strike up a conversation, but people just keep giving him things because they feel threatened. Evan is amazed at how much his loot has grown. It's quite a list, He got Palladian luxury steed, Peneus citrus tea, Valanda crafted metalwork, and Malentino specialty wine. But at this point, Alan is depressed. He had studied wine for this ball, to have a classy conversation with other nobles. But the Palacios turned out to be far more notorious than he thought, and because the rumor that he removed those monstrous brothers spread, he finally realized that he seemed to have become someone everyone avoids. His social life is ruined, and now it even feels like they've gotten even further away from him. When he leaves Evan's side to go get some fresh air, a red-haired lady is silently staring at him from afar, while Palacio is getting some alone time and wondering where it all went wrong. Someone starts talking to him and asks for a moment. He quickly turns around to see no one there. He looks down only to see a beautiful young lady, who introduces herself as Loria, the third daughter of Duke Altia. He returns her greeting and recalls information from the game. The Altia family is one of the 3 major shadow players of Psychedelia, known as the Northern Troublemakers, so there's no way she's a normal person as well. But he wonders why he doesn't remember this girl from the game. He doesn't think she appeared anywhere in the game. Shorty tells him that she will be blunt. He should lend her his strength. She is going to be assassinated soon. If you have made it this far, please subscribe to the channel and drop a like. 5 likes, and I will be dropping part 2, or leave a comment in the comments for part 2.